What do you call a moment so electric that a single deep logo 3 sends 15,000 people into a frenzy, triggers a $9 million ticket bonanza, and forces a billion-dollar league to tear up its own marketing plan? Some call it hype, others call it destiny. Tonight you'll see why it's actually a detonation, one that began with Caitlin Clark stepping across half court and never really stepping back. But hold your applause, because the real story isn't that the shot went in. It's what exploded next. Jealous veterans, bruising fouls, 8-figure shoe wars, and a front office scramble to get on the right side of history before the cameras roll again. By the time we're done, you'll understand why the WNBA's future salaries, schedules, even its arenas are now written in Clark script. The fuse lit in Iowa City. Clark's preseason homecoming against Brazil wasn't a regular exhibition. It was a 1.3 million viewer primetime crush, outdrawing most NBA preseason games and every MLB spring matchup on record. Carver Hawkeye's 15,000 seats vanished in minutes. Scalpers listed upper deck stubs for $650 a pop, and fans waved Brazilian flags just for the post-game selfie rush. Outside, reporters did frantic math. 15,000 seats times $650 equals $9.75 million. Cash generated by a game that did not count in the standings. That's more than 8 entire WNBA teams grossed in ticket revenue a decade ago. Front offices gulped, broadcasters smiled. The shockwave had distance to cover, and it was already rattling windows in cities Clark had never set foot in. But the blast radius didn't stop at Carver Hawkeye. 2 days later, social feeds filled with a slow-motion clip of Brazilian players swarming Clark for selfies. The subtext was deafening. Even international opponents viewed her as the Jordan of this generation, a once-in-a-lifetime draw who turns rivals into fans the second the final buzzer sounds. And if a preseason scrimmage could do that, what might happen once games actually mattered? Keep watching. Before her rookie jersey ever hit store shelves, veteran voices were lining up to cool the fever. The reason people are watching women's basketball is not just one person. It's because of me, too, Angel Reese told cameras, staking her claim to the narrative crown. When a reporter tried to follow up a year later, she cut him off. 2 terse words. Next question. Denial turned to anger on the hardwood. Chicago guard Chennedy Carter delivered a hip check that sent Clark skidding across the paint. Refs whistled a common foul, Twitter screamed assault, and highlight reels ran on an angry loop. Suddenly, every bruise Clark carried became proof the old guard refused to cede center stage. Screens were set just a shade harder, elbows found space, and whistles stayed tucked like payphones in 2025. The league publicly said nothing, but privately executives wondered, if the star leaves each arena looking like she played linebacker, how long before our golden goose flies the coop? One answer leaked to a beat writer within hours. Protect the investment or watch the crowd vanish. And when the hits didn't slow her down, the money floodgates opened. The 2025 TV slate dropped like an earthquake. 41 of 44 fever games on national television. More prime exposure than the Lakers, Yankees, or Cowboys will enjoy in their next seasons. Teams responded with square footage. Chicago's sky-ditched cozy Wintrust Arena for the 21,000-seat United Center, not once but twice, on June 7th and July 27th. The Bulls House had never hosted WNBA hoops. Now, it couldn't wait. Demand was so wild that Washington and Connecticut shifted their fever dates to NBA buildings too, just to fit the wave. Meanwhile, the league closed an 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights pact with Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal. Almost overnight, Clark turned from rookie to leverage. Her highlight clips were front and center in every sizzle reel the WNBA sent to broadcast boardrooms. With networks writing 9-figure checks, franchise owners realized empty seats were officially too expensive to ignore. That's when Nike rang the bell. Industry insiders leaked the numbers first. An 8-figure Nike contract with a signature shoe, the first for any woman since Cheryl Swoops' Air Swoops in 1995. The sneaker blogs melted. Clark's exclusive Kobe v. Cornfield PE dropped opening night and resold for more than a month of rookie salary by breakfast. Sponsors who once allocated women's hoops under community outreach suddenly tore up their budgets to chase logo rights. A cereal brand quietly shelved a soccer ad buy to make room for Clark. An energy drink CEO told investors, "She moves more cans than half our esports roster." The pay gap debate blew past hashtags into spreadsheets, and CBA negotiators began scribbling million-dollar baseline salaries for 2027. But money wasn't the only flashpoint. Journalists dusted off old columns about privilege and race, asking if Clark's skin color greased marketing wheels. Pundits volleyed think pieces while Clark sank threes, then walked into post-game pressers talking assists. Wherever you landed, The question no longer read, "Is she good?" but "Why does her spotlight burn hotter than anyone else's?" Endorsement riches couldn't mute the next controversy, though, because veterans were already plotting a new survival strategy. Weeks earlier, Clark had been left off the Olympic roster, triggering debate about whether Team USA valued seniority politics over momentum. She quipped at a charity golf pro-am, "Plenty of sports in the Olympics. I'll find a jersey somewhere." The crowd roared. The clip looped 5 million plays, and bookies opened odds on her Paris 2028 MVP bid. Back home, the Fever's training camp gym transformed into a reunion show. Vets rocking new jerseys, rookies lugging phone book-thick playbooks, and Clark pretending not to notice the ESPN crane in the rafters. What mattered was the scoreboard. She ran pick and rolls with Bonner like they'd shared breakfast for a decade, rifled skip passes that generated gasps, and reminded everyone why assist records are supposed to last. If jealousy once fueled cheap shots, now admiration drove migration. Beats blasted from locker room speakers, and more than one champ admitted off camera, "She's the tide that lifts our contracts." The grief cycle had reached bargaining. Acceptance was next. June 2nd, 2025, Fever versus Brazilian national team. Carver Hawkeye again. 6 minutes in, Clark drifted beyond the midcourt logo, dribbled once, and launched. Network same spot where she'd broken the NCAA scoring record. ESPN's audio spiked, crowd meters redlined, and a GIF was born before she crossed half-court on defense. The broadcast averaged 1.3 million, peaking higher than the previous year's WNBA Finals opener, higher than any MLB spring game ever. And only 2 NBA preseason contests in 15 years had topped it. Fans at home saw the shot. Owners saw the data. The illusion that this was about anyone else shattered like safety glass. Brazil's players mobbed her post-game, grinning for selfies. One-handed Clark her own phone to snap the photo. Twitter's translation joked, "Gave ourselves memories and gave you the W fair trade." The images trended above a same-night Stanley Cup playoff score. Ice hockey execs took notes. After that, critics didn't vanish, but their tones softened. A TNT panelist who'd labeled Clark overhyped a month earlier called her must-watch, then apologized for the pivot with a shrug. Facts change. Acceptance in real time. The new media rights money starts in 2026, but negotiations for the 2027 CBA are already spinning. Insiders whisper the first 7-figure WNBA base salary is earmarked for an Indiana Fever guard who only turns 27 that season. Expansion chatter gets louder. Phoenix investors eye Austin. An ownership group in Toronto flies to Indy for market due diligence. Translation: watch Clark drop 32 and a dozen dimes in person. Streaming giants are greenlighting docuseries faster than coaches can diagram out-of-bounds sets. One project, codenamed Logo Queen, has already reserved behind-the-scenes footage dating back to Clark's sophomore year at Iowa. Yet Clark's own focus stays infuriatingly simple. Win more games, make better reads, keep the fun alive. She works 8 a.m. lifts after red-eye flights from sponsor gigs, cracks self-deprecating jokes about her corn-fed calves, and signs every autograph that fits between the bus and the hotel. Kobe would nod approvingly. As for the haters, some now praise her on podcasts. Others go silent. Either way, every sold-out arena stamps the score. Disbelief 0, reality 1. One shot started it, a ball sailing through Carver Hawkeye air on a preseason night. Yet its ripple is already rewriting payrolls, TV grids, and the architectural footprint of a league. Ticket offices pray for her arrival. Broadcasters clear prime slots, and veterans chase the gravity she creates because they finally understand. When one player eats, everyone eats. So whether you cheer the Logo threes or groan at the nonstop coverage, remember this: the next time a teenager walks into a sporting goods store and buys a women's jersey before a men's, it traces back to that single arc of leather. And the question isn't if it happens again, it's what record cracks next when it does. Drop your predictions below and keep an eye on the scoreboard. The Clark era has just crossed half court, and she's still in range.